Good evening, everyone. We are getting ready to get started. We'd like to ask if our guests could all find a seat at an awesome table and be seated. Thank you.
Good evening, friends, family, graduates. You guys have no idea how excited I am to be here, how excited I am to see you. I love living vicariously through my students, my graduate assistants. I love seeing all the smiling faces here today. So welcome. Let me start by introducing myself. I am Eva Morgan. I am the undergraduate advisor for some of your graduating students today. And I just want to welcome you to our third annual Students of Color graduation celebration. Please give yourselves a round of applause. Parents, this is a celebration for you too, because I know it takes a lot to get your student, your charge across the finish line. It took a lot for me to get them there too. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started. Thank you for being so patient with us today. I am going to have our Chief Diversity Officer, Dr. Alana Hackshaw, come on up and bring some greetings.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you. Thank you. I was very responsive. Students, graduating students, faculty, staff, parents, friends, family members, we welcome and we thank you for being here tonight to celebrate our fearless policy terps. Just really quickly, I don't even think they're in the room, but I want to thank, except for Eva, our celebration committee who worked really hard to put this event together. So can we give them a round of applause? Thank you. She's not here, but I also want to especially thank the chair of our committee, Beatrice Dillon, for all the hard work that she put into this. Come on in, graduate. There was a graduate coming in. It's going to tell her to come in. On behalf of the School of Public Policy, we are thrilled to be celebrating the graduates of the class of 2022, and we are doing this in person for the first time, so we are really excited, and we are really tired because this has been fun work. But this is a time for celebration, it's a time for reflection, it's a time for joy, and it's especially a time for inspiration because of all that you have accomplished, and we know that this has been no small feat. The School of Public Policy is deeply committed to fostering an inclusive culture where our students know that they matter and that their perspectives shape and inform our values as a school. We strive to be a place where our students feel like they can be their authentic selves because in doing so, they bring the best of what they are to their academic experience and benefit most fully from their education at UMD. What we are celebrating tonight is of significance because we want to highlight the importance, let me get this right, of representation and the inclusion of diverse voices as a defining aspect of what the School of Public Policy strives to be and how we want to be known. We acknowledge a history where people of color have experienced exclusion in educational institutions where their voices have been silenced and diminished, including at University of Maryland. That there are more spaces today where we have previously not been makes it especially important to celebrate these achievements. Although greater opportunities exist, we simultaneously acknowledge that the path to graduation and feelings of belonging remain a challenge for students of color. All of you have navigated your own unique challenges via a pandemic that has laid bare many of the stark social and economic inequities facing Black and brown, disabled, and LGBTQ communities. So in order to complete your degrees today, your resilience has brought you to where you are now. And for that, you deserve to be celebrated. So to wrap up, I just want to say I hope you all know how much you matter to the SPP community. By your very presence, your words and actions, you are creating a world that centers multiple aspects of experience as a reference point for understanding humanity, not just a singular one. You also inspire us to figure out how to achieve policies that create a more equitable and just world. So you are helping us to be a better school simply by being you. So thank you for being here tonight. We hope you enjoy the rest of the ceremony, and I look forward to celebrating with you throughout the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Littlefield, Director of Undergraduate Studies. Welcome. It is such a joy to be back in person together to celebrate all of you. So many faces I'm so proud of and happy to be here. In all the events like this, I always marvel at how amazing our students are. And always the students are the ones that you really want to hear from, right? So we actually have 4 student speakers today and an alum, but he's coming later. We have 2 undergraduates and 2 graduate students that are going to talk to you today about their experiences. So I'm going to introduce 2 of them right now. The first will be our undergraduate speaker, Mahira Hijab. Come on up.
Good evening, faculty, staff, and fellow graduates. I want to start this off by sharing one of my favorite inspirational quotes. Whatever you choose to do, leave tracks. That means don't just do it for yourself. You will want to leave the world a little better for you having lived. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. My name is Mahira Hijab, and I'm honored to have the chance to speak to you all today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a second-generation South Asian Muslim woman born and raised right across the pond in Northern Virginia. As we enjoy our final days before graduation, I cannot help but reminisce about the days here at UMD. I chose the School of Public Policy because, and this may sound a bit cliche, but because I wanted to make a change. I was tired of seeing our world slowly fall apart and wondering if I would ever get to be a part of the solution. I wanted to work towards solving real-world problems present in our society. As a woman of color, I quickly realized that we were underrepresented within the field of policy and within the classrooms. Yet the underrepresentation led to me feeling honored and eager in sharing my voice on issues. This made me more passionate about learning about the injustices that truly mattered to me. These experiences allowed me to eventually discover what area of policy I wanted to focus on: immigration. I was able to hone that passion by focusing my classes at the university to develop knowledge on my desired path, all of which I couldn't have done without the amazing faculty at SVP. The School of Public Policy has allowed me to create lasting professional connections through the curriculum and opportunities offered here. Whether from researching my senior capstone or career services events, SPP created an environment where I could easily grow my pool of networks within the field. I want to thank all of our faculty and staff for ensuring that we, the students, are prepared for life after graduation, regardless of the path we all decide to take. As we all graduate and enter into the next chapter of our lives, I hope that we remember to continue creating spaces to hold meaningful conversations and to leave those conversations with new thoughts and ideas. Thank you, and congratulations, Class of 2022.
Wonderful. Now I want to welcome Arnold Aja to the stage.
Good evening. Good evening. Oh, thanks. Thank you all for joining us to make this a great night of celebration. I read a motivational quote that my mom wrote on her mirror, and it says, "People may see you struggle, but never let them see you quit. And I think this quote is a perfect description of our experiences. As students of color, our lives have been marked by barriers, and no matter what is thrown at us, we always find a way to bounce back and overcome adversity. In fact, these past 2 years have not been easy. We faced a global pandemic, lots of fears, trauma, and mental health challenges, and have had to adapt to a whole new virtual learning environment. So I would like to congratulate all of you today for surmounting yet another obstacle. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of us. I would also like to take this time to express my gratitude to all those who inspired me throughout my journey of personal growth and learning. To my family and friends, thank you for your unconditional love and support. Thank you to all the professors for your availability, caring disposition, and creating a culture of inquiry. And finally, thank you to my classmates who have made this such a fulfilling experience. I have enjoyed collaborating with you and wish you all the best for the future. I hope that you continue to dare, take risks, volunteer your time, and become players in society. Today, more than ever, we must support and strive for policies to improve the opportunities for all and to ensure that no matter the hurdle, no one is left behind. Go Policy Terps. Thank you.
That's what happens when you try to be cute, when you haven't worn real shoes in a while. Okay. But I refuse to give up my heels. Okay, our guest speaker, Raymond Neva, alumni. He is a state policy and equity manager for the Energy Efficiency for All coalitions in Maryland and Pennsylvania, advocating for energy efficiency policy that equitability benefits limited income communities living in affordable multifamily housing. Additionally, he co-leads the Racial Equity Working Group that supports all 12 EEFA state coalitions. Leading up to his time at NHT, Raymond was a student at the University of Maryland, College Park, and I get to brag that he was my student, where he worked as a teaching assistant for former NHT President Michael Badakin. As a public policy major, Raymond has worked to bring housing policy into the forefront by educating his fellow peers about the correlations between housing and all other policy fields. Raymond graduated from the University of Maryland in May 2020 with a BA in public policy, and he was he had a Senior Marshall Award. So please help me in welcoming Mr. Raymond Neva.
Hello. I'm going to just take like 2 seconds before I start to soak in this moment. So, Miss Morgan, thank you for that. She was the first SPP person I interacted with, and she is the reason that I decided to claim the major. So, thank you for that. And thank you to the School of Public Policy for this invitation to be here today. And thank you to the many, many folks, some of which are in this room, who helped me become the person that could earn an invitation like the one I have today. This is incredible, and it's incredible to be here in person with all of you. I especially feel a particular energy that I haven't felt in a long time. It's a very welcomed feeling. You see, about 30 years ago, this week, my aunt graduated from UC Berkeley. And as a family, we attended 2 graduation ceremonies. One of them, the regular commencement, where I fell asleep because I was a child. And the other was known as Black Graduation. And I was old enough to understand what was happening, but I was still too young to understand the full meaning of the experience. But I remember the energy, and I remember how happy everyone was to be there. And as an adult, I now realize just how meaningful that experience was. My aunt, she was brilliant. She graduated with honors. She double majored in African American studies and comparative arts and cultures. She was a soloist in the gospel choir, and she was Tutor of the Year 2 years in a row. And she is the sole reason that Jason Kidd, now head coach of the Dallas Mavericks, was academically eligible to play basketball his freshman year. My aunt, she passed away in January 2020. But I know that if she were here today, she would be one of the loudest and proudest in the room. And as I look at this room, I can't help but think about how miraculous this entire moment is, because if someone had come to you when you started at Maryland and said, most of, if not all of your time here will be during a global pandemic, and your daily routines will consist of ensuring you always had a mask, sticking applicators up your nose to test for a deadly virus, and even after that, for many of you, still contracting it. If I told you that was gonna happen, you probably would have just been really confused and not understand. If someone had come to you and said, while you are at Maryland, you will constantly be navigating your emotions as you watch people who look like you, perhaps people you know, perhaps you yourself, be harassed, beaten in the streets for simply existing, you probably would have wondered, how will you maintain focus to make it through? And if someone had come to you and said, during your time at Maryland, you will experience a violent and deadly insurrection, the unveiling and onboarding of blatantly racist lawmakers, the passage of Jim Crow-era legislation across the country, and a successful campaign to push women's rights back 50 years, you probably would have wondered, how the heck am I gonna get through this? And lastly, someone had come to you and said, you will remain in a constant state of mourning because of the unceasing murderous attacks on our people. You probably would have thought, there's no way I'm making it to graduation. So, you are here. You made it. Yes. And I want to take a moment to bring some other people in the room. Ruth, Roberta, Aaron, Peyton, Pearl, Geraldine, Celestine, Catherine, Margus, Andre, and Hayward. You are also with us in this room this evening. And those are just the things that happen outside of campus. We didn't even talk about the coursework in the program. All of the papers, all of the reports, stats, econ, the hardest midterm I have ever taken in my life, Dr. Littlefield. But you made it, and I just want to ask, do you know why you made it? I'll treat that as rhetorical. It's because you are resilient. We are resilient. That word resilient, for a lot of people, the meaning can vary. For me, resilient means the synthesis of survival and resistance. And I believe that it is deeply woven into our familial DNA. I talk a lot about resilience, but I swear I am not a subject matter expert. I am simply someone with a lot of experience with it. You see, I am a child who grew up in subsidized housing, dependent on subsidized health care, government subsidized health care, to survive the ongoing chronic illnesses that I had living in unhealthy housing. I am the kid that got made fun of and harassed at school for being gay, whose soccer teammates didn't want to stretch with him because they didn't want me to touch them, who had an entire aisle to himself in high school in the locker room because no one wanted to change in front of me. I am a 2-time college dropout. I am a convict. I was arrested and charged and ultimately found guilty of a misdemeanor. I'm formerly homeless and can tell you exactly what you need to do to stay warm in your car overnight during the winter. I'm a man who has found himself at one point with $10,000 of high-interest credit card debt and had my wages garnished not once but twice in my life. I have endured severe depression, which I still manage to this day, and I am a rejected applicant to the University of Maryland. This is all true. 5 years ago this week, just as we were sitting down at my brother-in-law's college graduation from CU Boulder, I checked my email and saw my rejection letter from the University of Maryland. It was a devastating day, to say the least. And I want to pause for a moment because if you took me and put that all on paper, you wouldn't think that someone like that would receive an invitation to give a keynote address to some of the smartest graduates in the country at one of the best schools in the world, right? Well, surprise, I'm here. But the journey, it wasn't easy. So, I am a flying trapeze artist and instructor. Oh. Thank you for that. No one's ever clapped as a response to that. So I'm a flying trapeze artist and instructor, and I promise that this is relevant. I began practicing and teaching in 2016. It was not something I had in my background. It was not something I pursued. I had taken a few classes several years prior, and I had befriended a number of the people there. And one of them happened to be the manager of the school, and she came to me and said, "Hey, do you want to become an instructor?" And after I determined that she was in fact serious, she shared with me look, you have the demeanor, you have the personality, we can teach you everything else. So I said, all right, let me do like a shadow shift just to like feel it out. And I did, and afterwards I was hooked. I said, let's do it. So I'm gonna take a moment and tell you about flying trapeze. When you begin flying trapeze, you are always in a safety harness. That safety harness is controlled by someone 23 feet below you on the ground, and their primary goal is to keep you safe. Now, as you, like any skill, you practice more, you get better at it. With flying trapeze, the better you get, the more you are able to keep yourself safe. It is easier to keep yourself safe the more you practice. And I'm terrified of heights. True story, I am terrified of heights. But I always felt very safe in the safety harness. But within 6 months, I was flying without one. And every turn, every jump off that platform was terrifying. And people always asked, well, why do you do it if it's so scary? Which is a very fair question. And the answer is the people there, the instructors, the staff, the folks who would ultimately become part of my chosen family. You see, it wasn't until I stepped into flying trapeze that I experienced a truly unconditionally loving and supportive community, a place where everyone wants everyone else to succeed in all things, a community that will literally pick you up when you fall, a community where failures are considered brave lessons. This community had my back always and in all ways. And I became empowered to challenge my fears inside and outside of the tent. When I was rejected from the University of Maryland, it was that community that rallied around me and helped brainstorm next steps, figured out how to challenge the decision, which is ultimately how I landed here. When my grandmother was evicted from the home she'd lived in for 42 years and put out on the street, it was that community that raised over $6,000 for her in less than a week to ensure that she had shelter and food. And when I struggled to be my whole self, it was that community that helped me see that my whole self is my best self, and that I am perfectly imperfect, but still worthy of all that I seek. Through trapeze, I learned to be proud of my past, appreciate my present, and step fearlessly into my future. And when I got to SPP, that mindset was only reinforced. It was reinforced with unconditional support and endless opportunities to challenge my fears, to dismiss imposter phenomena, because we don't call it a syndrome anymore, and to celebrate all of my learnings. And in my final semester, I received one of the greatest pieces of advice that has guided me ever since. If the opportunity in front of you doesn't scare the crap out of you, then it's not for you. So, I'm standing here now in 2022 in front of you, and it is my turn to say, if the opportunity in front of you doesn't scare the crap out of you, then it's not for you. It's also important to remember that this community here, the people in this room, we have your back. It doesn't end here. It only begins. And it actually gets better in a lot of ways. And that support that you will get here is truly unconditional. So today, who am I today? I am the proud son of a mother who, despite all of the heartache and pain that she has endured, still finds a way to center peace and love, and because of that, has been blessed with 3 healthy adult sons who love her and each other. I am the proud grandson of the woman who raised me, who, despite all of the odds against her, repeated sexual assault, a cerebral hemorrhage, several strokes, severe depression, very little support, and even less money, was able to shape me to become not just someone that she could be proud of, but someone that society could be proud of. And I am a proud fighter for social and racial justice, and I appreciate that I now earn a living wage from my advocacy, and that I don't have to do it as a means to resistance and survival. And I'm privileged. I'm very privileged to live with one of the most inspirational people in my life, an Israeli immigrant who served in the IDF and then came here and earned his PharmD, and now is an officer in the US Public Health Service and will very soon be adding MD on top of his PharmD. Yes, I would clap for him because he is also my husband. And lastly, who I am today. I am worthy, and I am enough. And today, you are worthy, and you are enough. So take that with you, because there is no shortage of problems in this world, in this country, in Maryland, certainly in Prince George's County, in College Park, here at the university. But as policy experts, it's our job to identify those problems, figure out solutions, and then advocate for them. So it's time. It is time for you to step out fearlessly and make the world hear your voice. You can do it because you are worthy, you are enough, and we have your back every step of the way. And you can do it because you owe it to yourself. You owe it to those who came before you. And do not, I repeat, do not let anyone silence you. And silence is more than just your audible voice. Silence is your presence. It is your views. It is your vote. Do not let anyone take that from you. Be seen, be heard, be understood repeatedly. When they give you 10 minutes to speak, take 11. And do not be afraid to bring your whole self with you. This charge, it's difficult, I know. But if being great were easy, then we would all do it. And for all of my male identifying peers out there in this room, watching on the internet, I have a special message for you. You cannot continue to let our sisters and our mothers bear the burden in their fight for equal pay, equal access, and equal rights. It is no secret that women of color are the most disrespected demographic in this country, if not the world. So step up. It's time to step up, stand up, and be the first to do so. Do what our mothers would do and have done for us, and do it so that our future daughters don't have to. It's beyond time. And as my time comes to a close, I want to make one final point. As long as there is breath in my body, I am in this fight with you. I'm not going anywhere. But out of all the tools in my change-making tool belt, there is one that you have that will always be better than mine. Time. Now, I'm not old, but I am very likely older than most of, if not all of you graduating today. And while I am very, very proud of the work that I have been able to do in my 2 years since leaving SPP, or I should say transitioning out of SVP, I often reflect on what impact I could have had I got started just a little bit earlier. You have time. Use it wisely. With that said, today we are going to celebrate. No work today. We're going to celebrate you. We are going to celebrate your accomplishments. We are going to celebrate us as a people and as a culture. There is a tough road ahead, trust me. So when you encounter it, I want you to take a moment and think about this moment here, in this room, with people who love and support you. And remember that you are worthy, you are enough, and that we all have your back, 100%. And if you ever forget, just find me on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever. I will happily remind you. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your spirit. And thank you for the hope that you all give me. And in closing, as my mother always says, peace and love.
Honor they didn't list is Raymond was also our 2020 commencement speaker, voted among his peers and in the beginning of the pandemic, and you can see why. What a fantastic speech, call, all the things. Thank you so much. It's clear that we have the best job ever, and that continues for me because I'm going to introduce two more students now. Our second undergraduate speaker, Jonathan Dillon. Please come to the stage.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Dillon, and I'm graduating with a bachelor's in public policy from the School of Public Policy Before I proceed with my speech any further, I would like to formally recognize and thank my parents for their support and love for me in my time in college. They could not be here today, but I'm pretty sure they'll be watching videos or recordings, so I wanted to make sure I did that. When I initially came to the University of Maryland, I was undecided about my major, but I knew that I wanted to work in a change-making field. I thought about government and politics, I thought about pre-law, and even history at one point, but none of them had the right feel to them, and this is what I mean by that. The professors seem more focused on teaching their students to think about how to work in government or abroad, rather than training them to ask why the government works as it does, or whether or not they should be trying to support the systems that were currently in place. And so on the surface, at least, the students would speak about coming into government-oriented majors to become leaders, to make a change in their field. I got the sense that a lot of these majors shared the goal of changing the world. But most of the kids that I saw and interacted with already lived in this type of world that was made for them. And so I couldn't really help but wonder how much change would really be introduced in my courses if I went into maybe a major like government and politics or pre-law, not to rag on those majors. Those majors are great. That was just my thinking. And so because of that experience coming into public policy, I have always been inspired by the conversations that I've had with students and faculty from this school. I am forever grateful to the UMD policy team for trying their best to make their students think. That is one of the most valuable things to me about this school. I remember class discussions led by Dr. Hackshaw, Dr. Littlefield, and Professor Feehan. They all had different approaches to their teaching methods, but the main thing that they would constantly be pushing for their students to do is think about why the world works the way it does. We all had different answers. We would share those answers. Our professors would then tell us the facts and debunk our assumptions. And then we'd have a better answer by the end of class. And so as I'm graduating and leaving the University of Maryland, I want to encourage my classmates to stay inspired. I've realized that there are students within the School of Policy even who are not aware of how their actions are critical to advancing change and have never been exposed to critical thought surrounding issues of race or poverty. Some people in life have made up their minds about political issues and are stuck there, unfortunately. But it's important that we as students of color never get so tired of speaking up that we let others speak for us. I also want my classmates to remember that if you really want to make change in policy, you are going to be viewed as a troublemaker sometimes. So do not be afraid of making good trouble. Remember to be okay with taking action that affirms your existence, your importance, your contributions, even if others don't like it. With that being said, I don't think you should ever be looking to go through college, the rest of your careers, or the rest of your lives on your own. It's important to be kind, be fearless, extend yourself to others. Remember that it is more than okay to ask for help. I will say that again because it's important. It is more than okay to ask for help. And in some cases, it is necessary to have someone in your corner. And so this is everything I've learned from not everything, but this is a good chunk of what I've learned from my experience in policy as a student of the School of Public Policy. And so with that, I would like to conclude my comments with the following words of inspiration by Brené Brown. I want to be in the arena. I want to be brave with my life. And when we make the choice to dare greatly, we sign up to get our butts kicked. We can choose courage, or we can choose comfort, but we can't have both, not at the same time. Thank you.
Next, we have our second graduate speaker, Carolina Escuna.
Can everyone hear me okay? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to take a second to also soak it in because it's different being up here and seeing everyone. Good evening, everyone. So thank you all so much for being here. I want to start off by thanking the School of Public Policy for this opportunity and acknowledging all my peers on this major life milestone. We've really made it to this point. So it's so special to be here with you and your loved ones tonight. I also want to thank my family for the support they have given me these last few years in particular, and say with the utmost confidence that I could not have done this without you. My name is Carolina Escuna, and I joined the SPP community back in 2020, after a few years of working in different fields after undergrad. During this time, through experiences ranging from sales to education, I quickly realized I wanted to come back to school, not only for myself, but for my community. As the daughter of immigrants, a mother who left Colombia with a fire and determination to learn the language and excel, and a father who left Bolivia and his entire family to come to this country for something more, as their daughter, I stand here before you all with so much pride and passion that I'm sure many of us share. I grew up in a household with a lot of warmth and love, whether it was the music on a Saturday morning to wake me and my brother up and tell us it was time to clean, or cooking special recipes with my grandma in the kitchen. My home was and continues to be a very special place. That special place gave me a sense of confidence to go out into the world and find what I love. It gave me as a young girl a place to speak my mind and always be heard. My support system was always there to listen. As I look around this room tonight and see so many faces, the faces of eager students, future leaders, future makers of change, preparing for such an exciting new chapter, I think of those support systems and the people that came together to make sure we all made it to this point right here. I'd like you all to take a second and look around at friends, family, or simply think of a person that helped you get to where you are today. You see, for me, life has always been about the people we choose to share it with. Life will always be about the people that fill it. It is incredible to think about the paths that have crossed throughout our time at SPP and where those paths will continue to take us. I see so many strengths and superpowers in this room too. I see confidence, I see perseverance, I see determination, but I definitely see the sacrifice. I see a moment in time that all our hard work has brought us to. But I also see the challenges that we faced and how we carry the lessons we learned from those challenges with us. Personally, I experienced a great deal of anxiety and imposter syndrome during my time in grad school. I often felt overwhelmed by so much going on and questioned my sense of belonging in this field. With the help of family and friends, I learned how to cope with those feelings and always remind myself that I am here for a reason. We all are. These lessons and the many others we have learned during our time at SPP will continue to propel us forward into whatever may come next. Although those lessons may be different for each and every one of us, what we do have in common is the fact that we want to make a difference. We carry pride and passion with us because we know we can make a difference. We carry pride and passion with us because it is up to us to step forward, continue to work hard, and uplift one another in the process. With a strong support system, we're all capable of anything. I know society makes it seem like it's cool to do things on your own and not need anybody, but in reality, needing each other is only natural. I want to remind everyone here tonight that community is about coming together, and power will always be in the numbers. Don't ever forget the people you met here at SPP and those that were there for you along the way. As individuals, we're so powerful, but together we are truly unstoppable. Congratulations, class of 2022. Thank you so much.
Hi, Carolina, you're amazing. I'm Mira Morgan. I'm a student on the event planning committee for this event. And I have the absolute honor to introduce our next speaker, a spoken word artist. Absa Fall is one of the best, most talented, and most impressive people I've ever met. I've had the pleasure of working with Absa in one of our classes this semester, and I truly can't think of a better final student speaker for tonight. So please join me in welcoming Absa Fall.
course, I immediately drop it. Hello, testing. Okay. So this spoken word has two titles because I'm indecisive. One is Silence is Violence, and the other one is More Than Enough. Gotta shake off the nerves. Okay. Here I am, another black body at the front of the room, the sound of griots echoing in, the stories of my people etched into my skin, the vision of my ancestors stretched out before me. You see, when I was asked to write a poem for this event, I was paralyzed with uncertainty, wondering how am I going to relive years of experiences just to transform it into some kind of powerful message? How can I win the token of your approval without becoming a token version of myself? Just another black person doling out my trauma like it's candy on Halloween, hoping for someone to find meaning behind the treats, knowing to look for the winces of white guilt until the icy grip of indifference steals my breath away. I know what it's like to be in class and have trauma met with silence, saying the things nobody wants to hear, seeing the glint of discontent in my peers' eyes, because here we go again with the black stuff, with the race stuff, with the privilege stuff, trying to all lives matter me back into silence, as if the realities of my experiences are Tinkerbell and can be painted over with white tears the moment we all stop believing racism is real. But let me tell you a little secret. This silence forced upon me is violence, because you would rather I keep my mouth shut than see me speak up. Yes, there is pain in these words, but there is beauty too, the sense of community that comes from banding together in the face of adversity. These words, these experiences, they are more than just me. My voice is not enough. SPP has taught me that having a platform means weaponizing it for change. And if we are truly committed to diverse spaces, that means we need to be inclusive. And if we want to be inclusive, that means passing the mic. So here is to all of the lovely souls that shared their stories with me, to the people who answered my bat signal when I asked for their experiences, who entrusted me with their traumas about going to PWIs. Because silence is violence, and their silence was deafening until they couldn't keep quiet any longer. So here is a story about a student who was in class with a white male peer, of course, and who decided to explain the meaning of being an American to their professor, because I guess being of AAPI descent somehow disqualifies you from this title. Let's talk about the person who had to explain to a classmate why racial disparities in healthcare are not the fault of genetics, but a lack of access to basic human rights. Or the black girl whose white roommate was shocked that she dressed nice because she assumed she would dress dirty. How about when this person was constantly questioned about their race because people needed to know what kind of different they were, who spun their frustrations into these words? My humanity holds no value in white eyes. The understanding that we are not and never will be viewed as human beings with flesh, blood, and tears, but rather a form of entertainment and aesthetic. Like art exhibits on display to be scrutinized, admired for the aspects you find appealing, and criticized for that which does not resonate with you, end quote. But unfortunately, there is so much more to talk about, like the hijabis who walk into the room to be met with stares and glares, or the first-generation immigrants whose language is called alien, or just the daily reminders that even if we try twice as hard, we will never be enough. These stories are heart-wrenching and necessary. They speak to the daily dehumanization and isolation of people of color. And even though these words hurt to read, memorize, and repeat, the reality is that not every story gets told. Not everyone has the opportunity to speak up. So I'm grateful for everyone who takes a chance on me as I try to be an avenue for healing, for prioritizing the words of those who have long gone unheard. But make no mistake, I am not a spokesperson for all people of color. We need more spaces like this, more people encouraging us to spin straw into cold, experiences into poems, words into understanding. Let's unite to go beyond the single story. I promise you the world is so much brighter when the crushing grip of silence is finally removed. And for my students of color out there, not just surviving but thriving at a PWI, I see you and your voice matters as much as mine. So let's heal together. Thank you.
See what I mean? I get to live through that. That was fantastic. Oh my goodness, congratulations, EFSA. Thank you for blessing us with that. Okay, I'm going to invite to the stage Associate Clinical Professor Ebony Cooper-Jean and Student Services Coordinator Beatrice DeBellin to acknowledge our graduates.
Graduates, please stand up when your name is called so we can acknowledge you. At the conclusion of the ceremony, you will be all asked to come to the dance floor for a group photo. At the very end of the ceremony. At this time, we would like to acknowledge our graduating doctoral students and congratulate them on their amazing achievement. Zuhan. Shang Cheng Wu. At this time, we would like to acknowledge our graduating master's students and congratulate and acknowledge them for their achievement. Isaac Akkad. Adedayo Adeniyi. Arnold Aja. Carolina Escuna. Ji Chan. Dra Chen. Frank Edward Saintfort. Tatiana Figueroa Ramirez. Isis Chestnut. Anthony Gray. Ding Hua. Hanan Rifat Hussain. Miriam Cohn. Wen-Li Lee. Zerjin Liu. Shi Liu. Iktahar Muhammad. Andrea Mawando. Taylor Newkirk.
We have one doctoral student that we did not acknowledge in the correct place, and this is Xing Chu Shen. And back to our master students. Ze Ting Sung. Jovia Tugume. Malik Wheeler. Tambriana Williams. Wan Feng Wu. Shal Sheng. Shal Han Sheng. Zhan Yuan Sha. Wen Long She. Haiven Zheng. Fatma Za. At this time, we would like to acknowledge our graduating students receiving their bachelor's in public policy and congratulate them on their achievement. Sabrina Ariel Pierre. Solomon Stevens. Jordan Banks. Jonathan Dillon. Ifama Eliazu. Did I get that right? Her head is bad, y'all. Alexandra Figuro. Did I say that correctly? Did I get that? Mahira Hijab. Una O. Antoinette Smith. Faith Terrell. Joshua Richard G.D. Winston. That concludes the names of our graduates. Thank you.
Let's give our graduates one more round of applause. Thank you. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Robert C. Orr, the Dean of the School of Public Policy.
I'm going to just take it in for a minute, too. It's nice up here. This is why I came back to education. The talent, the love, the commitment in this room is amazing. Thank you for being here and for doing what you've done. You make it worth it for all of us who work every day to try to provide this opportunity. Thank you, thank you. I was just told that we missed ABSA. ABSA Fall. After that amazing spoken word, yes, you are still going to graduate, I promise. Folks, this is a night of celebration. It's also a night to honor the people who have helped you get here. So I'd like to ask all the family, all the friends, all the faculty, and all the staff to please stand. And graduates, will you give them a hand? That's right, you all qualify and you earned this too. So now, I was just saying graduates, no, almost graduates. Sorry, you still gotta come tomorrow, folks. You're not quite there yet, but it is wonderful to have this night of celebration. Celebration of you and everything you've accomplished. While this is primarily a celebration tonight, it's also a moment for reflection. And our student speakers and our alumni speaker couldn't have done more beautifully at reflecting the challenges, the pain, the struggle, the injustices that everyone in this room has been through to get here to this night. And I think that reflection makes the ceremony tomorrow and your success at achieving your degrees and your goals in coming here to Maryland even more sweet. I'm humbled by each of the speakers tonight. You're profound, you're brilliant, but you've also taken from your education here, and you're already applying it. This is what gives me hope for a world that is deeply troubled right now. We face challenges on so many fronts. And this past week, we were reminded of one of the challenges in stark relief in Buffalo, New York. President Biden called white supremacy a poison, and it is. It's something that we all wished, thought, maybe was something in our past. It is not. It's metastasizing. And it's why a celebration tonight of many of you who have had to struggle through a culture and a political moment in this country that puts an extra burden on you every day. We are also facing a teetering democracy in this country. Rights that have been hard-won are being taken away. People are not given voice, they're not given vote. This is an existential challenge for this country. And graduates, I know you're heading out into that world. I just wanted to remind myself, as well as you, of the world that we are sending you out into. Because we have struggled to give you the tools. You came with the motivation, you came with the smarts, but we've tried to give you some tools to try to face these existential challenges. And I am hoping and indeed praying that you will find those tools adequate. The policy life is a great life. It's hard. It's finding, identifying challenges and rising to them. The way that you will be successful is by feeding off and working with the people in this room. You are a family. You came to SPP, you joined a family. Raymond said it beautifully. Well, once in, never out. I love the fact he's ready to give out his phone number to all of you who he hasn't met. He said it beautifully. We got your back. Thank you, Raymond. And we do got your back. It's going to be tough. You're going to bump and bruise and struggle with problems, with situations, but your family has your back. So let me just say, tonight, I am proud of you, and yes, I love you all. Congratulations, and tomorrow, let's party.
We're going to party tonight, too, because we have a DJ. So thank you all for being here tonight, graduates, family, friends, faculty, and staff. Graduates, please, let's meet on the dance floor so we can get a group picture, then we can eat. Thank you all for coming, and have a good evening. Graduates, dance floor.